Hello, I'm Lucia, and today I'm going to show you my favorite tarot and oracle decks that I use for client reading. So these are my decks that I always have with me. They're usually all out, most of them anyway, and if they're not out, they're always nearby. And I do have some other ones on standby, but these are always pretty much out, always with me. So I'm going to start with my number one go-to tarot deck. I'll start with tarot decks first, and then I'll show you the oracle cards. So this one I got from the Etsy shop called Dark Forest Tarot, and they may be called Tarot Dark Forest in the Etsy shop. But the company is Tarot Dark Forest. Doesn't say it on this box, but it does say it on their newer boxes. So this is the vintage tarot, and it's the cardboard stock, and it's not glossy. It's really, I mean, this is like one of my favorite card stocks. This is the back, this is the front, and they're a little bit dark, so that's something to keep in mind. So depending on the lighting, they might be a little bit difficult to see, but this deck speaks to me. It's a regular Rider-Waite tarot deck, but it speaks to me. I see things when I do readings with these cards. So this is one of my favorite go-to decks, maybe because it's simple, maybe because it's borderless. I do love borderless tarot decks, and I have really good readings with this. So this is one of my favorite go-to decks. It also shuffles very well. They don't stick. And I'm trying to think what else. Yes, to photograph. These photograph well because you don't get a glare because they're not glossy. You don't get a glare. They're not glossy. But something to keep in mind is that they are a little dark. But I love this deck, and when I ordered it, something pulled me toward it, and there was another deck I had my eye on, and I was going to be like, that's going to be my reading deck, my everyday deck, and I was surprised that this is the one that I went to. And all tarot decks from that shop have great energy. That Dark Forest Tarot shop, they have great energy. This shop, any tarot deck that I've ordered from them, you just feel it, and they all read well. So that is my number one. Okay, so now for my number two tarot deck. It would be the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot by Los Scarabeo. I love Los Scarabeo decks, and I will always say that. But I mean, I do love a lot of tarot decks and oracle card decks. It comes in this box, and it's a great box. I mean, I feel like the cards are safe in there. So these are the backs. This was also my go-to, on my list of 5 go-to tarot decks. These are the fronts, and this is also borderless. And I've been finding that, you know, this deck was my number one go-to, but I'm finding that I'm being pulled to draw on this one lately. And so it's between these two. These are my number one and number two. So this is starting to become, I feel like, my number one. But I have them with me all the time. And I love the colors. It's like bright, but it's not too bright. It's like a little bit, I don't know if it's like muted, but whatever it is, it's like soft. And I love that it's borderless. I love the colors. They speak to me. I love the size. I love the cardstock. These are a little bit more glossier these have a little gloss on them. So, but they're not too glossy. So that's something to keep in mind when you take photos, depending on where the light is or how the lighting is. Sometimes you do get like a little bit of glare. If you're using a flash, or if there's a light above when you're doing the cards, if you have a light above you and you're taking a photo, it may show up, that light may cause a glare in the photos, so that's something to think about. But I won't let that stop me from using these. I'll just try to find a different angle to take the photos because I love this deck. It shuffles well. It's a little bit stiffer, you know, depending on how you want to shuffle them, but you know, I find a way to do it. Love. Love, love, love. So it's a deck, and it feels, this is heavier. This is a heavier deck, but the size is good. The backs. So that is the Radiant Wise from Los Scarabeo. The next one I'm going to show you is the Gilded Tarot Royale. This is Ciro Marchetti. Another type of deck. I love all of his decks. This artist, that's the backs, this is the front, and this deck is so beautiful. This deck speaks to me a lot, especially for spiritual questions, and clients really love this deck. They love the art on this deck. They always say, oh, that's a beautiful card, and they want, they want me to put it closer so they can see, like I do a lot of online readings. I'm always going like this, on the camera to show them so they can see it. And I think they like when I send the photos of the readings with these cards. This also has a little gloss. These are a little bit thinner. They're easy to shuffle, and I feel like they're going to wear well. Like, I think over time they're going to wear a little bit. I see a little bit of wear, but I still find this to be a great cardstock. So I do love to work with this deck, and I feel like you can use this for any type of reading. The first two I use for pretty much any type of reading, but when I get to more deeper spiritual questions, I do grab this one, and I just find that it speaks to me more for spiritual questions, like what do my spirit guides have to say, and questions like that. There's a little glare right now from the my camera, the screen that I'm using. Look at that, just beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous. Easy to shuffle. Just as easy. These cards are easy to shuffle any way that you like. So that is on my list. I always have this with me. Another tarot deck I always have with me is the Crowley, the Thoth Tarot. Let's get it out of the box. I always have this deck with me, whether I read with them or not. Like depending on the questions and what I'm being pulled to when people ask me the questions, like I just go and I feel out, which cards do I use that I'm drawn to for those questions, and sometimes I combine them. And so this one's always out, and I get amazing. This one blows my mind. This is great for all types of readings, and this is also great for spiritual questions. That's the back, and this is the front, and these are gorgeous cards, and they have so much symbolism. I will be studying this deck forever. I will be studying this deck for the rest of my life. I have the books. I have two books, the Crowley book and then another book, and I will mention those, and I did mention those on my top 5 list. I will mention them again in the description. And that's beautiful. Systematic Magician. And this follows the Golden Dawn theme as far as readings go. And I love working with this deck. It gives a different depth to the readings. I mean, that's one of my favorite Ace of Cups. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And the cardstock is amazing. The cardstock is amazing. So this is the blue box. This is the smaller size. It's not mini, but it's the smaller size. And they have another box that's green, and that's the bigger size. And one day I hope to get that, because I would love to just be able to look at the artwork and see like more. But these are a great size if you're spreading them out, you're doing a big spread, the Celtic cross or anything like that, where you have multiple cards out, and these fit nice. And clients also love this deck because the colors are vivid, gorgeous, soft. It's a beautiful deck. It really is. And I get amazing readings with this, especially spiritual questions, any kind of questions. And for myself, I also like to use this deck to, like, I will meditate on this. This is one of the decks that when I use it personally, I will meditate on, and I see things. It's one of my favorites. It really is one of my favorite decks. It's beautiful. Let me know. I'm trying to see when I should stop showing, because they're just so beautiful. Let me see if there's one specific on here. I mean, like, this is This is a death card, and so it's amazing. It's amazing. Let's see what else. The Four of Discs. Yeah, this deck is beautiful. So I'm trying to see what else. This is Queen of Wands. And like it does speak to you with the colors, the pictures, the symbols. It's got a lot of symbols on here. So that's an amazing deck. So another tarot deck that I have, so how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I usually have 5 decks on me. I mean, I have extras too, like tarot on me for different reasons. So this is the Druidcraft Tarot. And I did trim this deck. I mentioned that in my other video also. And this deck I always have on me. It's an earthy deck, and it's a great reading. It's a great tarot deck for all types of questions. It has such an earthy vibe and such healing energy, and it's an amazing deck. And I did trim it. I did trim the borders. This was a massive card. This was the biggest tarot card I ever had from my decks that I ordered, and it was pretty massive, and it was hard for me to shuffle, and it was just big to use in a spread if you're taking photos for clients. So I did trim my deck, and if you know the Rider-Waite system, you might have an easier time remembering the cards. Some of the cards are a little different, but it's easy to learn them. And some of the names were changed in this deck. And I'm trying to think what else. The cards were gorgeous with the borders on. The borders are gorgeous. The font on the names of the cards are gorgeous, but I did cut them off for purpose of the size. And I do love the way the colors pop after I trimmed them. And if you work with this, you will learn it. And like I said before, the landscaping are real places in the world. I forgot the names of the places, but it's in the book. And the book is amazing. It's a beautiful 6 of coins right there. 6 of pentacles, 6 of coins. Yeah, so these cards I love. The card stack is amazing. This was my first tarot deck that I modified, that I trimmed, and I did it with scissors. And I will make a video about that. I did it with scissors, and I did it with a corner rounder. I have one that I ordered on Amazon. It has 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. And I believe I used the medium. On this. I'm not sure, but I should do a video on that. And I did edge it. I edged it in a metallic gold marker, but it doesn't look metallic. Like it has like a shimmery champagne color. Like I edged it softly because I kind of wanted it to have like an antique kind of a edging look to it. So these are the cards, and they're beautiful. The card stack is amazing. They do shuffle well. This is one of my favorite Ace of Cups. They do have a little gloss on them too. 2 of Cups. The Queen of Cups. They're really beautiful, and they do speak to me too. They do. Like they do. I can see the story when I pull these cards, and then of course anything else that comes up intuitively, I do. I love the energy on these cards. They're just beautiful. This is one of my favorite Hermit cards. One of my favorites. There's another. This is the Death card. So it's just beautiful. Different. The Hierophant. The Queen of Swords. Let's see what else. This one. The 3 of Wands. Just gorgeous. The World. So this is, oh, look at this Ace of Swords. I mean, it speaks to me like it's like a new idea, just a new decision, a change, something to maybe a way to get out of a tough situation, or changing the situation, making a decision. Like it's there's so many ways you can read this. And so this is one of my favorites. The Two of Swords. These are the backs. So yeah, this is always with me when I do readings. Oh, and this is the Three of Swords. For those, like, I know some people want to see, like, when I look at a deck, I want to see the Three of Swords. I want to see what the Five of Swords, the Ten of Swords look like. You know, I want to see what the Death card looks like, and what are the other ones? Those are the big ones. The Judgment card, the World, like those, like, they're just some cards that you want to know what they're going to look like before you buy them, you know, before you purchase the deck. So, okay, so that was my tarot decks. So those are always with me. And now I'm going to show you my go-to oracle decks that are always with me. So I use this Lenormand, this Gilded Reverie Lenormand by Ciro Marchetti, and I use this deck a lot for relationship situations, the energy around the relationship. This deck speaks to me. I see things. I'm very surprised with how well this reads. I really shouldn't say that because the tarot deck does the same thing. This same artist on this one, the Gilded Tarot Royale, and this is the Gilded Reverie Lenormand. And these are the backs. And this is gilded in this beautiful metallic gold. I'm not really into those metallic. I'm not really into the shiny metallic, even though I edged my Druidcraft Tarot in a metallic marker. I'm really not into the shiny metallic, especially the gold or the silver. Like, I kind of like more of the muted, but it works. It is beautiful, and it does work well. And these pictures they're stunning. And they speak to me. So I use this a lot for relationship situation, even for job situations, the energy around the situation between a person and another person. I can see what's going on in a family with these cards. Like, these cards speak to me. Like, I look at the photos, like I look at the images, and then I start to see things like intuitively. And so this is one of my favorite decks to use for client readings. I use them on TikTok too, Tarot by Lucia. I use them on TikTok to do relationship readings on there, quick readings. Yeah, this is my go-to for that. And I use them for clarifying, also for tarot readings. And if you like to do photos, these are also glossy, so you can see that they have glare. So if you like to do photos, this deck and this deck, and if you like a theme deck or what the art, you know, that kind of complements, like one deck complements another deck as far as the art goes, these two decks go really well together. But I use this deck with whatever. Like, when I pull cards, I don't think about the themes. I want the information, so I just go for the deck that calls to me for that specific question or the clarification. So sometimes I use these for the theme of the reading. Sometimes I use them for clarification. This is beautiful, beautiful deck. And for me, I find it helps me give accurate readings. It brings information to me. I see things when I use this. And it's gorgeous. It's really beautiful deck to work with. This is the Death card or the Tomb card, or in this Lenormand deck, and it's so beautiful. The tree, they put the tree of life. I mean, I love that. Look at the love card. It's gorgeous. Yeah, so, okay, now I'm going to put it away for real. So that is the Gilded Reverie, Lenormand. And then we have, oh my goodness, this is one of my first Oracle decks. The Gaia Oracle by Tony Carmine Salerno. This is the box. This deck, when I first started with reading tarot and oracle cards, I would just, hold them. And sometimes I still do. And you do like a little meditation and you're feeling the energy of the deck. This deck feels like part of me when I hold it. It has beautiful energy. These decks are big, so I've thought about modifying it, but I don't want to do that. Plus the number, I do use the numerology sometimes. It all depends on what stands out to me. So I always have this deck out for clients, and many clients do love this deck. That's the backs. It's the front, and the cardstock is like thick cardboard, and it's pretty strong, like pretty durable. I find I think I'm going to have this deck is going to stay well for a long time. So it's got the number on top, and then it has the name, and then a little keywords or a phrase on the bottom. I don't really use, like, I do read it, but I go by the picture, and it's almost like scrying. Like, you look at these photos and you see something in the photo that stands out to you, and I could read this card for one person and get one thing, and I could read the same card for somebody else and get something else. Or I could read this card for the same person another day and get a different reading from it. They just speak to me, and I don't know what it is about his artwork, Tony Carmine Solano. I love his decks. Like, I would buy all of them if I could. I have a couple of his Oracle card decks, and I love all of them. And even if some of the work might be similar, like you might see some of the work the same in the other deck, but it doesn't matter. It just goes with the card meanings. It goes with the readings. Like, I find this deck to be so accurate. I can feel what people are feeling. Like, I just look at the card and I can just see what's going on with the person, see what's going on with the message. There is some nudity on these cards. So just don't know, like, you have to know, like, your client. But so far, everyone that I've pulled these for, been told to use this for, they do love these cards. And I love sending them photos of these cards so they can look at the card and refer to it, anytime they want to. I feel like good energy, and it has the earth energy, Mother Gaia, and these cards they speak to me. They're just so beautiful, and they speak to me, whether it's the numbers, the symbols, the artwork, or even the card names, whatever stands out to me at that time. That's how I use this deck. So I do use this for a lot of people's feelings, deep readings. Like, I get deep with these cards. I go deep in the reading, and there is a spread in here which is really beautiful. And see, so like this card example, I will look at this card, and from this card, like, sometimes she looks like she's been, the image, her face, the woman in this card looks like she's been through a rough time. Sometimes it looks like she's getting over it. Sometimes it looks like I will just sense and feel different things. And of course, I'm tuning into the person, so I'm feeling what they're feeling, and I just see that. And here's a spread in here that's I really love the elemental star spread. And it explains there's different ways, there's different spreads here. So the book is nice that I have used this spread for readings, and I really love how it works. So that is always with me when I do readings. I do tea time card reading circles on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And so if anyone's been there, you guys might recognize these decks, right? So another one I have out is this Denise Lynn's Sacred Destiny Oracle cards. This deck is another one that speaks to me, like the art. It's like intuitive, just like the Gaia Oracle. This one is another deck that's intuitive. These are the backs. It's so beautiful. This is also a cardboard stock. It's not glossy. It almost feels like it could be shiny, but it's not. Like, it's a smooth, it feels like silk. And that's the image. They're very simple and beautiful cards. And when I look at these cards, I see things. I've seen, like, if you read past life, sometimes I've seen past life things in here. I see what's going on. Sometimes it may not be what the card says. Like, I see something else going on with the person, and they speak to me. I see things in the images, and then I see things. I can't explain it. This card itself, I've read this card many times for different people. I see different things each time I read it, and I just look and see what stands out to me, and sometimes I just see things. And I can't explain it. Denise Lynn, all her cards, they're amazing. I mean, I have at least 2 decks of hers. But this is my favorite one. that I use, and it's always with me depending on the readings. Sometimes people ask about soul contracts with people and things like that, so I pull this. This is one that I pull out for that. And they're beautiful, and clients love this deck also. They do. They love the images. Like, you can feel this deck. So this is one of my favorite decks to use for client readings and for myself. I mean, all of these decks, whatever I would use for others, I would use for myself. And then I have other decks that I use just for myself. I'll do a video on those one day too. I'm covering the names. Sorry about that. And they're just beautiful. So do I get them all? So these are, no, there's another one. Okay, so these are always with me, always on the table when I'm doing readings. And here's another one that sometimes I have these out and sometimes I don't. So this is the Soul Cards Oracle. This deck, Deborah Koff Chapin. I don't have my glasses on right now, so I will put her name on the bottom. These cards are completely intuitive. There's no book. There's a little there is a little book there, but it's not like a book with the description or the names. These cards don't have a name and they don't have a description. I mean, they're called soul cards, but they don't have like each name and then a paragraph to describe. These are completely intuitive. So these are the backs, and she does have set 1 and set 2. I believe these are 1. Does it say 1 on here? Yeah, soul cards 1. And she has another deck of soul cards too. I don't have that one yet. I wanted to purchase that one, but I'm not sure. Like, I feel like this one does the job for me, but every now and then I think about it. So maybe in the future, and if I do, I'll do a video. But these are the backs, and these are the fronts, and this deck is intuitive, and it really speaks to me. And usually it comes quick. Like, I don't. Like, you know, sometimes, I don't know if you guys find this, like you have to look for, sometimes I look and I focus and I'm trying to tune into what the card is saying. This one, I feel like it happens to me quick. Like, I get it right away. You know, I'm very intuitive. Also, the same, like I I see things when I read these cards like the other ones, and so far, like, I always wondered, like, if some people might find these cards a little bit spooky, or if they might find the artwork, like, if they might get turned off. Like, but I haven't had that yet so far. So I don't know if it's just that I feel out the client and see if they'll be, like, I just feel it out and know, like, if it's okay to pull one of these cards. Like, sometimes I wonder, I'm not sure if everyone will receive this deck the same way, so that's something to think about. But everyone so far, they do love this deck, especially if you have clients that are spiritual. They get it, you know. So yeah, these cards also, like the other ones, like I was starting to say before, is that I could read the same card for one person and I get one thing, read it again for someone else, or read it for the same person another day and I get something else. So they're very intuitive, and they really, I mean, these are great to open up your third eye and really tune into your intuition. And they're great for reading for yourself also. So really love these cards. This is one of my favorites. I mean, all of my cards are my favorites, but these are my go-to. They're always with me, and if they're not, especially this one may not always be out, because I try to have room to shuffle the decks and spread them out. But I have to show you that one too, because that's pretty cool. Let's look at this one. And just beautiful. I mean, you can read, like, 2-3 people can look at this card and get something different from it, right? Let's try to see what else here. Pretty cool, right? So these I always have them around. I can show you one more that's always around. It's not always out, and I pull it out sometimes, and I find it's very intuitive. It's another Denise Lynn deck, Sacred Traveler Oracle cards. Denise Lynn. Oops. Oh, and I did modify this deck also. I trimmed this deck. It was big, and I was going back and forth. I love them both ways. I love them both ways. But sometimes I found that with this deck, I found more so than all my other ones that the words, sometimes that's not what I was seeing. Like I was seeing something totally different, and I didn't want to throw off the client that I was reading for because they were like, what does it say? And I'm like, but that's not what I'm getting. Like these decks, both of her decks are very intuitive for me. Like I get so much from the photos. So I felt like I don't need the names. I find that for me, reading with this deck, for me, you guys might have a different experience, of course. I find that the photos speak to me more than the words, and they usually were a little bit different. Like sometimes it was the same, but it doesn't matter because if it's the same, then I don't need the words because I'm getting it without, I'm getting it from the image. And then if it's different, at least then I go with what I get intuitively. So this deck speaks to me. I love it, and the clients love it too because it's beautiful, and I love the way it looks. I mean, this deck was beautiful with the borders and the names also. I kind of felt bad cutting it, but I love it this way also, and it doesn't interrupt my brain when I'm doing a reading. Like I don't interrupt my flow when I'm looking at the words saying, oh, I'm not feeling this, and I have to think about how to explain that to the client. So it keeps me in the flow of doing the reading, keeps me in that psychic, intuitive flow. I could just keep going on the reading and focus on, the reading. They're so beautiful. And I edged them in pink so they don't come like that because I did cut the borders off and I edged them in pink. One thing I do like is because I do work with the tarot, sometimes I pull the oracle cards that now they're smaller size, so they kind of fit nice in a reading. It's not like massive cards, massive size cards all over the place. So I find these very wonderful to work with. And sometimes I think about buying another box to have without trimming them off, just to use them that way too, because I did like them both ways. But I don't regret cutting them. I love them. Like they're a little square, and I think I may have used a large. I'm not sure what size I used on here. I should do a video on my modifications. But the cards speak to me. Her decks are like very intuitive. And it's beautiful. So this is always by my side. It may not be out, but it's always within reach. I always see another photo. I don't know if I showed that one. And I want to show it to you guys. I mean, look at this one. Like healing, emotional healing, recharging. It's almost like the hermit card in the tarot. It's like going, being alone and studying or gaining knowledge or, figuring things out at night. Like there's like so many things you can see in these photos. Okay, now I'm going to stop after one more and that's it. And I have to show you this one. Yeah, so I really love these cards. They're beautiful. So that is my go-to. This is what I usually have for clients, and I find they're very helpful. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be well.